Welcome once again to everyone, and thank you for those of you who participated in answering the poll. So far, we actually got 150 responses, and we'll share them on the screen just so that everybody sees what we got. So there were 4 questions that we asked. The first one is, how old are you? And the majority, well, 50% of the people on this call are between ages 30 and 39. What age do you want to retire? Most people said age 60. A few of you said you don't plan to retire at all. So that's good to know. Then we also asked, how much money do you need to retire comfortably if you're looking at it on a monthly basis in today's CDs? And most of you said between 1,000 to 5,000, that was 42%. And then 50% combined wanted 5,000 or more every month to retire. And then the last question that we asked was, how much do you already have invested towards retirement? And the answer was, the majority of people said less than 10,000. So that was just a quick survey. Thank you all very much for participating. And now we will begin. So my name is Jillian Hammer. I am the Group Chief Marketing Officer at Databank and your host for today. I'd just like to welcome everybody and thank you once again for taking the time out of your busy schedules to participate. Retirement is something that Databank has been talking about for many years now, and it is something that we believe is extremely important. So the fact that you have taken your time to come and listen, we trust that it will be beneficial and that you will learn something. So we will get started, and I will actually ask Emma Somia Kwao, she's one of our heads of sales, to give us the opening prayer. So Emma, please go ahead, and then I'll come back and finish talking.
All right, shall we pray? Our Lord and our Master Jesus, we are grateful unto you for a day like this. We thank you for bringing us together once again as a family. And we thank you for an opportunity for us to learn once again on retirement. We pray that may this meeting be of a success. So at the end, we shall all join hands and say thank you, Lord. This and many we've asked through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Emma. So just to give you a quick rundown of what we have in store for you. First up, we're going to have a few opening remarks from our CEO, Kojo Addae-Mensah. Then we will have a SSNIT representative in the name of Mr. Frank Mobila, and he will also speak to you for a few minutes just to give you some background information that you should know from SSNIT. Then we'll be joined by someone who has a very powerful story, actually, and he will just speak very briefly. I'll keep him hidden for a few minutes, but he will speak on his experiences preparing for retirement, and so I'll give a bit more information on him. Then once that is done, we will open it up to take questions from everybody that's here. So at the time that we are ready for questions, we will let you know, and then you will raise your hand, and then we will unmute you, and you can ask your question. We will also have a few giveaways in between during the program, just to make it a bit interesting. So once again, welcome. I trust that everybody knows how to raise their hand, and that is how we will manage the program. But thank you, and I am going to turn it over to Kojo Addae-Mensah, who is the Group CEO of Databank. He doesn't like long introductions, so I won't bore you with it, but needless to say, he has been in banking for well over 20 years, and he's worked at Barclays, now ABSA, Standard Chartered, GCB, and then back at Databank. He originally started his career in Databank. And then beyond that, some of you know him from TV because he is an avid soccer fan. Locally, Kotoka, and then internationally, of course, Liverpool. And not even COVID could keep Liverpool down this year. So he is somebody that loves football, and beyond football, he loves children. And so he spends a lot of his free time helping children who don't have the means to support themselves, to go to school and to learn. So it is my pleasure to introduce Kojo, and I'll turn it over to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Gillian, and welcome again to everybody. And I see we have over 200 participants today. And I think it's one of the silver linings of COVID, to be honest, because I'm just sitting here imagining if we were doing this seminar in Takoradi, they will be in the SSNIT conference room. In Kumasi, we would have been at maybe the Presbyterian Hall. In Tamale, would have been in maybe the SSNIT conference room again, or some other hall. And we won't be getting these numbers. So it's really good. And we're all doing it from the comfort of our home. So thank you very much for joining. And I hope that you will leave here with something positive. I intend that this will be interactive, so I won't talk too much, but I would like to take you through a few slides. We've been doing this series, at least since I rejoined Databank in 2014. I think this is our 5th year of doing it. And anytime we do it, the response is overwhelming. The feedback is good. So I hope we can continue doing it and share the knowledge. This year, the theme we picked was, do you know your retirement number? And by that, what we are trying to say is, do you know how much you require to invest, at least on a regular basis, to be able to retire comfortably on the number you yourself have written in our survey that you want to retire with? So you've got to know your retirement number. It's good enough to know how much you would like to retire on, but it's important that you really work towards it, because it will not just happen. So I'll be taking you through these slides, and my right-hand woman will bring it up very soon. Eric Danzo, I wish I could enjoy your biscuits too, you know. Yeah. Okay, so we are good to go. I've done the intro. So let me go to the next slide right away. And yes, this is a phenomenon that I don't think is even only applying to Ghana, but it used to apply to the rest of the world. And we would always tell ourselves that our children, our investments, our retirement packages, our children. So you would find out that people will be giving birth to as many people or as many children as they can, hoping that if you give birth to 5, at least 3 will come and look after you. So retirement was not something we were really taking seriously and planning towards. But no, times are changing, and our informal sector too has really grown in leaps and bounds since then. And as times change, we are finding ourselves moving more and more towards, I would say, the Western lifestyle, where you know, you wake up in the morning and all you're thinking about is yourself, and the extended family network is weakening as we go along. For some of us, maybe it may exist, but I think we're moving away from that as time goes on. And my favorite example was when I was growing up, and I was born very early in the 70s. When I was growing up, I never heard of anything called a creche. The best you get will be, you know, nursery. You go to nursery 1, nursery 2, and then you're in class 1. There was nothing like a creche. And it just tells us how society has changed. And today, if you have any kids, you are, you know, looking for a creche to drop them in and rush to to work and go and find some money to make ends meet. And I'm believing, and I am prophesying actually, that as we move more and more into what I'm calling the Western style culture and lifestyle, the old people's homes are going to start coming up more and more. We are not going, our children are not going to have time for us like we probably have time for our parents. They may just dump us in some old people's home and forget about us. Ladies and gentlemen, your children may not be that your retirement package anymore. You need to really take control of your retirement and make sure that if your children are able to look after you the way we used to do, all well and good, that's a bonus for you. But you have to really start thinking about yourself and thinking about doing things for yourself and preparing for yourself. You know, so I keep saying that today, even the kids are not even getting jobs to do. And those who are getting jobs are too busy making sure that they keep that job and put heart and soul together. And a lot of, I saw the statistics, but a lot of us are finishing school and still living with our parents. Think about it, your parents who are either about to retire or are retiring. So what if your kids also start depending on you even in retirement? This is something that we really need to think about. Some of us are in the formal sector, and especially if you're in the formal sector working 8 to 5 every day, it's unlikely that you'll be able to develop any alternative skill that you can do maybe after the age of 60, like maybe farming or teaching or something like that. And those of you who think you are in the informal sector and that you can go on and on and on and on till even after 60, think twice. You may, but a lot of us, whether we like it or not, we weaken as we grow. And once you weaken, you need to fall on something. So a lot of you in the informal sector, you tend not to prepare for retirement. You tend not to put anything aside for retirement and thinking that you can work till the last day you die. It doesn't happen. Anything can happen to you and you need to think about it. If you're able to work till the last day you die, that's a blessing. But really, really think twice about that. So like during the intro, Gillian was telling you how I've worked across various banks in the country. And I would just even limit it, especially when I was working with GCB, because a lot of pension money passes through GCB. And I'll be sitting there looking at these folks coming in, especially those who are coming in for the first or second time to receive their pension, and the shock that appears on their faces and how some of them literally just sit down and like can't believe what thunderbolt has hit them. That after all these years of working, this is the pension I go home with. So, you know, the more I probed, the more I checked, the more I cross-checked, the more I interacted with them, I found out that the biggest problem was ignorance and also very bad advice, which got these people there. And that's why seminars like these are very important, especially for those of you who are young and have time on your hand. Please, when you are seeking advice, seek advice from professionals. Yeah, friends and family, some of them have the appropriate experience to give you advice. But a lot of the time, we are not advised properly. And we don't even know. You know, those of you in the formal sector, you work with a basic salary. I mean, Frank will come and explain a bit more, but you work with a basic salary. You work, sometimes your allowances are twice your salary, forgetting that your pension will be calculated only on your basic salary and not your allowance. So suddenly you have lived a lifestyle with allowances, and one fine day, those allowances vanish. And then you are shocked at how much you're earning. And I'm sure Frank will come and talk about your pension rights and the maximum you can get and so on and so forth. I may touch on that as well. So, why is today's discussion so important? I'll share some statistics with you and you realize how important it is. And if you are here, I think you should count yourself very lucky and you should go out and propagate the message that you learned from here. These are statistics that we've picked from SSNIT itself. And it is a very serious statistic. that out of every 100 Ghanaians, only 2 are going to retire comfortably. One of the seminars we had, the theme was, are you one of the 2? So I'll still ask, are you one of the 2 who is going to retire comfortably? Or are you going to be part of the 23 who must continue working? Sometimes you see a pensioner moving back and forth and you don't understand what's going on. Most of the time they didn't plan properly and they need to continue working to keep, to make ends meet. And even worse of all, 75% are dependent only on SSNIT, charity, in fact, more charity and relatives than anything else. And the data we are seeing coming through right now, that number 2 is trending towards 1. That is the scary part of it. That number is trending towards 1 and it's very, very worrying. So it's important that you keep this at the back of your mind and start planning for us to push that number to 5 or 10 or 20 or 50 as a country. More importantly, we need to know that SSNIT are here and they will answer a lot of your questions. And over the years, I'm very impressed at the level of professionalism and knowledge that they have. A lot of people keep bashing SSNIT and I laugh because they work by law and they do what they have to do rightly. But now there's a new Pension Act, which then gives us 3 tiers. So SSNIT manages the tier 1. That's what it's the tier 1 and 2 are statutory, and SSNIT manages that. But tier 2 is where the private sector comes in, and you see that it is administered by a corporate trustee, and it is managed by a fund manager like Databank, who are registered with the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. That's the NPRA. And the percentage contribution is what you see. So SSNIT is 13.5, tier 2 is 5, but there's a national health insurance component within the SSNIT one. So what actually goes to your personal benefit, Franco, correct me if I'm wrong, is I think 11%. And then there's a tier 3, which for now is kind of voluntary, but it has tax benefits. And if you are in the formal sector especially, and your company doesn't have a tier 3, go and ask your finance director or your HR director why you don't have a tier 3 and let them try and get it properly set up and registered. It is what used to be maybe called the Provident Fund. And if you are not in the formal sector even, all the better, you can actually contribute up to 35% of your income into a tier 3 pension. And I keep saying this because a lot of the time, those in the informal sector do not take the pension story seriously and they get ill-advised. And then when they are not strong enough to keep going and keep working, people start pointing fingers. Hey, let me speak some tree. Papa Wayne, I know what to say. After all the money that he had, what happened? It's likely that the person wasn't properly advised and thought that they'll be able to work forever without putting anything aside for their pension. So please, if you are in the informal sector and you don't come under tier 1 or 2, even then, SSNIT have something for that. But if you don't even come under tier 1 or 2, which is statutory, you can still go in for tier 3 and put something aside for your future. Now, these statistics, again, I have picked from SSNIT. And I really want you guys to look at it very, very closely. Look at the numbers very closely. As of June 2020, the average monthly pension paid out to beneficiaries was 957 cedis. The lowest you can see was 312 cedis. And the highest was 118,871. Now, look at the numbers below. Just in November 2019, the average was 841. In December 2018, the average was 739. So even though you see that the highest paid in December 2018 was 51,000. In November 2019, it jumped to 111,000. And now in June 2020, it has jumped again to 118,000. You see the average is not moving, or literally moving at a very slow pace, which should tell you that those people in the highest bracket is either 1 or 2 people, and the rest of us are down there. And I see that a lot of you want to retire with between 5 to 10,000 cedis. Well, this is the average SSNIT is paying. And actually, it goes to suggest how low our incomes are. So guys, if you don't have a plan B, you are going to be in trouble. Let me put it bluntly. You need to have a plan B, because SSNIT's contributors, even though it's been increasing, look at the numbers in there. And I'm sure Frank will touch base on the maximums. Under Act 766, there are caps now. I don't think under the new act, anybody is going to earn over that 100,000 and 118. So the average is even going to drop further as we go along. And you see the statistics, it shows that most of us are not really paid well. Most of us are not really paid well. This data is picked from the 2019. In fact, we picked it from a speech that Director General Ofori-Tinkrang gave at a pre-May Day rally in April 2019. So these are facts that we've picked from the authorities themselves. And it should tell you that if you don't have an alternative or alternatives, you could end up retiring literally a pauper. And this also was very revealing when we took it from the Ghana Statistical Service. It's quite a long time ago, but the percentages haven't changed. The situation hasn't changed. We still have very few pensioners retiring with their own home. A lot are perching, squatting, living in with someone and not paying rent, disturbing their children and their in-laws. You don't want to do that. You want to plan properly and be able to have your own home and to be able to live a decent life after work. But if you don't plan towards it deliberately, it won't happen. It just doesn't happen. So ladies and gentlemen, please, the time to take control of your retirement is now. If you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? And time is your biggest asset. The more time you have, the easier it will be to hit your retirement number. So, what is your retirement number? I will encourage you to go to our website. I will try and see if Gillian can take us to the website and take you very quickly, demonstrate how you can calculate your retirement number. But please calculate it. It doesn't necessarily mean that by all means you should do it and get it now. But at least then then you can start planning and doing the necessary adjustments, because it's real. If you don't plan towards it, you will never, ever hit it. So on that note, I'd like to thank you all for listening to me and for coming to the seminar. I hope it will be beneficial, interactive, and worth your time. Gillian, can you take us to the website very quickly and do this? Or you do it later? Okay, so I'll pause at this point and then we'll let the next speaker take over.
Thank you, Kojo, very much. Let me stop sharing. Okay, so I hope that kind of set the tone for everybody and really drove home the importance of needing to plan for your own retirement. So up next, we have Mr. Frank Mobila. He is the area manager of SSNIT in Takoradi. And since 1998, he has occupied different roles in SSNIT before rising to become the area manager. He also worked briefly at SIC before joining SSNIT as well. He is a fellow chartered accountant. He holds an MBA in auditing, and a postgraduate diploma in organizational development. Frank is a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants and the Institute of Internal Audit. He is married with children and enjoys watching soccer. I don't know what his favorite team is. Frank, you'll have to tell us before you start talking. But we are very, very happy to have you. You've been a great friend to Databank, and it's a pleasure. So thank you so much for making the time. And we will unmute you so that you can talk. I think you can actually unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself, Frank.
Thank you. Thank you, Gillian. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Gillian, I used to be an active supporter of Barcelona until a few days ago. So I have resigned from active supporting of Barcelona. Kojo, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Frank.
Good afternoon, Kojo.
Yeah.
I used to be very active until last Friday, so
no. We went 30 years without a trophy. Don't do that. We went 30 years.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think Kojo has said a lot already about the things that I intended to say, but I don't think I need to repeat some of them. I only want to clarify some of them, and then we also try to give some advice to our participants, and then we will now allow them to ask questions. Indeed, in programs like this, it is when questions come out that we'll be able to touch base on other areas. If you ask us to prepare to come and do a presentation, it's quite a bit difficult to cover every aspect. I was asked to look at the effective plan, keys to effective retirement planning. That was what we as SSNIT were asked to do. So I have prepared something on that, and I want to put it for our members to hear. You know, in this country and in most part of Africa, people think of retirement when they are around 55 years. When people are 55 years, at the time it dawns on them that one day retirement will come. But ladies and gentlemen, let me say clearly that retirement actually starts from the very day that we start our first employment. The day you get your appointment letter, that same day is when you have to start thinking of your retirement. If you don't want to retire one day, then I'm sorry, you don't have to start working at all. Retirement is like death. Whether you like it or not, it will come. If you don't want to die, then don't get born. And since we don't have control over that, once you are born, you will die one day. Same way, once you start work, ladies and gentlemen, by all means, one day you will have to retire. So it's important that, as Kojo mentioned, if you start work, we need to plan our retirement properly because it will come one day. Well, Kojo has defined social security for us already, but briefly, I just want to put in the layman language. The social security is putting some money in when of income terminates or ceases. Social security will now come in to be paying you part of the lost income that you used to receive when you were in active service. That's all that social security is about. So we have to make sure that as we start work, people in this start work and sometimes they receive their salaries, they don't bother about registering for SSNIT or whatever retirement contribution. They enjoy the salary for a very long time. We have had instances where people have worked for about 20, 25 years without a SSNIT number and not contributing to SSNIT. It's only when they are about to retire, then they come to us and mention, I was in establishment A, establishment B. You ask the person, where's your SSNIT number? There's none. You see, in that instance, we have to go back and then go and speak to the employer and then register the person and bill the employer with penalties because the law puts the registration of a worker mandatory on the employer. So when that happens, the employer is penalized. But it shouldn't happen that way. immediately we start working, we have to visit the nearest SSNIT office to ensure that we register, get our contribution fast. Here that Social Security has indeed become a human rights issue. Just like the way somebody cannot take your life because it's your right to live. Same way, you cannot refuse to pay somebody Social Security. Once you refuse to pay a person Social Security, then you are infringing on the person's human rights. That is how serious Social Security has become. So therefore, it's important that all of us try as much as possible to do our own planning. Ghana has actually evolved over, was part of the SIC. Then somewhere in 1972, we started operating as SSNIT on our own. Then that time it was you contribute, and then when you retire, you take a lump sum and nobody cares about you. But later on, the framers of the law thought it wise that why should we pay everything to a person who has worked over the years? We should be thinking of providing some monthly income to the person. So in 1991, PNC Law 247 was enacted, and that put the scheme into a pension scheme, where when everyone works and retires, the person takes some money. We operated with that until the year 2008 when Act 766 came into effect, started operation in January 2010. And then we realized some defects, so somewhere along in 2014, we went for an amendment, Act 883, and that is what we are working up to today. So Social Security has actually evolved over the years. Ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned by Kojo, we have the 3-tier pension scheme now in Ghana, but SSNIT, we are by law mandated to handle the first year. So I'll skew my delivery on tier 1 and then allow Kojo to concentrate on the tier 3 and possibly on the tier 2. So tier 1 is what SSNIT operates, and then the MPRA is their regulator. They regulate all pension schemes in Ghana. If you are not happy, you contact them, you come and then assist you. In fact, every worker in Ghana, and everyone, once you fall within the age bracket, you must be a contributor. There's nothing like I'm in the formal sector or I'm in the informal sector. No. Once you work and earn some income, once an employer-employee relationship can be established. Same way, as Kojo mentioned, if you're on your own and you contribute, you are working, you earn some income. We SSNIT have what we call the voluntary contributors. You can work to SSNIT even if you're a carpenter, a mechanic, whatever job that you do in the informal sector. Once you're able to declare to SSNIT that this is your income that you earn on a monthly basis, we will take you through the process, and then you start what we call voluntary contribution. In fact, the law is actually favorable for those who are in the informal sector and doing voluntary contribution. Why? Because for them, they are the only people who can go and then they don't pay penalties. The law don't allow them to pay penalties. They can pay 6 months when they owe SSNIT, they can pay without penalties. So voluntary contributors or people who are on their own can also pay for SSNIT as well. I've already explained the laws as we have migrated. And then I think that by now, we all should know that the contribution is 18.5%. 5% goes to the second tier, then 13.5 comes to SSNIT. As mentioned by Kojo, the 13.5, when it comes to SSNIT, 2.5% of our members is given to National Health Insurance Scheme. Then SSNIT is left with 11% to invest and be able to pay even better pensions than we used to pay under Law 247. I'm saying better because under Law 247, you have to work for 20 years, that's 240 months, to qualify for full pension when you are 60. But under the new law, Act 766, one has to contribute for 180 months, that's 15 years. And once you are 60 years, you can qualify for full pension. So you need to contribute for less months to qualify for full pension than it used to be under PNC Law 247. And for now too, once you start taking your pension, the annuity period has increased from 72 years to 75 years. Previously under 247, anyone who was taking SSNIT pension, we assume that the pensionable life was 12 years. So you keep on taking the pension. When you are 72 years and you are alive, SSNIT will continue to pay your pension until death. But immediately you pass after 12 years, nothing will pay to your beneficiaries. Under a 766, the annuity period has increased to 15 years. So one will take pension up to 75 years, and when you pass away, SSNIT will now stop paying benefits, any benefit to your nominated beneficiaries. Could you mention somewhere along the line about the maximum contributions? And I want to throw a little bit light on it. Indeed, when we put the data on the screen there, you realize that in 2020, the highest pensioner in Ghana is taking over 118,000 Ghana cedis every month by SSNIT. Now, let me clarify that this person is under PND's Law 247. Under Law 247, there was no restrictions. Whatever salary you earn, you could pay Social Security on it. We realize that if you want to go that way with Act 766, you see, Social Security is one of the objectives is to redistribute income for pensioners. You have to redistribute it. So in a situation where you have a few people earning very high pension and then a lot of people are earning very low, it defeats the objective of the pension scheme. So therefore, in order to try to redistribute the income, the capping was introduced in Act 766. In 2020, the maximum salary that one can pay Social Security on is 25,000 Ghana cedis. And I repeat, 25,000 Ghana cedis. So therefore, if your income is more than 25,000 Ghana cedis, SSNIT you pay the SSNIT contribution of the 25,000 Ghana cedis. The rest, you will now channel it to Kojo and his group so that you can go and do the third tier contribution to enhance your benefit when you retire. As we speak, with a 766, there's no way any pensioner will be able to take up to what was put on the slide there by Kojo. The one who is taking the 118,000 is under 247. I want to clarify that. So if you really want to take something very high, beyond 25,000 when you go on retirement, then you need to do some other retirement planning by taking your 30-year contribution very seriously and divert the extra income that you have into these schemes. That is the only way that you'll be able to earn a very high retirement one day. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also mention very clearly that we always have issues with our members when they register. We expect them to give nominated beneficiaries your monies to, in case we pass become, contemporaries, people who are below the age of 18 years, and you don't nominate them. SSNIT works with an act called Act 560, Children's Act in Ghana here. When you are no more, 60% of your benefits will have to be paid to the minor child or minor children. So therefore, it is important that every member tries to include his or her minor children in their nomination. In Ghana, there's no illegitimate child in Ghana. So you cannot say that, oh, that child, I had the child with someone outside and not my matrimonial home, it doesn't matter. That kenke seller or orange seller that you wanted to play fast with and the child came out will take 60% of your benefit when you are no more, and the 40% left will be given to your adult nominated beneficiaries. Ladies and gentlemen, give you a lot more from the hit on these few points that are very, very move that and be registered and given a SSNIT number. Please, let's make sure that Social Security contribution is being paid for us. Some of us are very much concerned with the salary that goes into our account.
Frank.
The net that we get it in, whether your employer is paying you before retirement comes. Gillian.
Sorry, Frank,
Gillian,
I'm going to ask you to just repeat the last few things you said. Your network is quite bad, so it keeps breaking. So if you can go back to shortly after the orange seller. Sorry to take you so far back.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's all right. That's fine. Or what I'm saying after orange seller, what I meant was that whether you had a child, with in your matrimonial home or not, once that child is by you, you have 60% of your benefits will be paid to the mother of the minor child. That is it. Whether it's your wife or husband, once the child is your child, there's no legitimate child in Ghana, and for that matter, 60% of your SSNIT benefit, if you are no more, will be paid to the mother or father of that child. That's the point I was making. And I'm saying that I'll move straight to the effective retirement planning, the key to it. I'm saying once you start work, that very month, you have to make sure that you have a valid SSNIT number. Go to any branch SSNIT office and then inform them that you've started work. They'll register you and give you the valid SSNIT number. And then again, we have to make sure that our employers are paying our social security for us. Some of us, we are not interested in the SSNIT contribution. All what we want is what goes into our bank accounts at the end of every month. The advice is that let's make sure that we show some interest in whether our employers are paying SSNIT for us or not. And then every year, you can go to any SSNIT office to print a statement of account to check to see whether the contributions that are being paid for you are the right contributions or not. In fact, you can visit the SSNIT website, www.snit.org.gh, and you follow the through to be able to know how to print your statement of account. You can do that every year to make sure that you check your SSNIT statement. Ladies and gentlemen, the surplus income that we also have, please don't let us spend it. After the 25,000 Ghana cedis capping, the rest, as I said earlier on, we should try to look for some other third-tier providers like Databank, and then go and have some planning with them, and then ensure that the extra income retirement benefit on it. Your personal information, be it email, whatever, please inform SSNIT so that we'll have data on you to be able to track you and then to get to you any time that we need to do that. The last point I want to make is that the SSNIT contribution is simple. What you put in determines what you actually get when you are going out. A lot of us here, our employers have two payrolls. The one that they pay social contribution on, and the one that they pay our salaries on. So you go there and you realize that the person's social security payroll, you see small amounts on it. But if you go to the person's salary, the one that goes to his bank, the amount is different. Like Kojo mentioned, don't let us be so much interested in the allowances. Social security is not paid on allowance. So if you build huge allowances, you keep on chopping all your eggs today. And I tell you, when you go on retirement, you will compete your social security retirement amount on the meager salary that your employer declared. Let's remember that anytime the employer refuses to pay, or you collude with the employer not to pay SSNIT on an amount, your 5.5% is what you are getting. But the employer is also saving 13% that is not going to pay for you. So most employers are better off when they give you allowances because they won't pay social security on it. So the advice here is that let's make sure that the total amount that we earn is what SSNIT is paid on. Let me end by saying that, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot, and I want to quote, I have a quote here, it's very important, I need to quote this one. It is by E. Morgan, and he said that a life which is empty of purpose until you are 60 will not suddenly become filled on retirement. Some of us, when we are working, unquote, when we are working, we will keep on complaining that I went on retirement, since it's giving me some small money. We take just 13.5% of your salary. What happens to the rest? We need to plan effectively if we want to retire and be comfortable, ladies and gentlemen. Let me thank you very much, and then wait for the questions to come. And I'm sure that with the questions, we'll be able to touch on other places. Thank you very much, Gillian.
Thank you very much, Frank. That was actually very, very, very insightful. Just to repeat a few things that Frank shared, for the sake of everyone, what he said is you need to start contributing the day you start working. And you need to go to any SSNIT office and make sure, check your statement, register for SSNIT. Make sure that your employer is paying SSNIT, because I remember seeing some statistics, Frank, I think it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but at the time, I think it was only about 54% of companies that were actually paying SSNIT on behalf of their employees. So you may be sitting down thinking that everything is cool, and it isn't. So make sure that your employer is paying SSNIT. Every year, check your statement annually. It is something that you can get at SSNIT's office or on their website. And his final comment that I thought was very instructive was you get what you put in. So if you try and cheat the system and put in a little bit during your working years, when it's time for retirement, you will only get a little bit out. So Frank, thank you very, very much. The next person that will come and speak for a few minutes is someone by the name of Mr. Thomas Ba Larty. We met him last year in Ho when we were doing a similar retirement tour, but at the time we were going around from city to city, and he was actually one of the panelists, but prior to him speaking as a panel member, he actually shared his story, and it was something that was really, really, it was very moving, and he will share it with you today. He actually gave us permission to even put it on our website and share with others, just so that people could really understand why they need to start preparing for retirement early and not wait until the last minute, and why it's important to make good choices. So I will ask Thomas to unmute himself, and then we'll welcome Thomas to just share a little bit of his story and give you some tips on why it's important to prepare towards your retirement. Thomas, over to you.
Good afternoon, my marketing manager. Good afternoon to all of us. Well, great to come back with you people. Maybe my style has not still changed so much. I'm trying. I don't know whether it's too late for me. I'm on the verge of condemning my own self. But as I heard from our brother speaking from SSNIT, I was so touched once again, finding out what is happening. I asked myself, retirement starts from the day of your first appointment. This is a story I've never heard before. Otherwise, I heard the last time I met you at home. And this kind of stories, I will plead with SSNIT, I will plead with government. Please start it. Start it now, and educate us. And our predecessors, those who are ahead of us in working, please stop condemning the SSNIT and stop condemning banks or institutions that have something to do with savings for retirement. But I think I'll be given a short time to speak on my experience. And I don't know whether I have changed my lifestyle. I'm trying to change. I look at it as too late. Please forgive me if I look very emotional, but please forgive me. When I talk about my life history, I normally feel bad, but I still have no option than to talk about it. But 1995 was the year I came back from training college. That was the very year I had a first appointment letter as a trained teacher. I think for about 6 months or 8 months, we were not receiving salary. So when the salary came, in those days was about, is it 24,000, not what you hear in today. And today would be about 24 CDs or so in those days. It was very huge money. Then I think what I used my money for was I had a chance to come to trade fair. That was the first time I came to Accra, though. That was 1995. I finished training college before I went to Accra on my own. So I was so happy. I had money. I was enjoying. Then a teacher in my house, she's now of blessed memory. She's late at the moment, spoke to me and called me to her room and said, mention my local name, Kadu. Please, for Christ's sake, try to save 50 pesos of your entire life. I mean, please take 50 pesos for your salary every blessed day. Every blessed month, save 50 pesos out of your salary. I tried and I told her, no, I can save more than that. I'm not the type who wastes money a lot. So I can save more than 50 pesos. I can save. Then she added, pray that you are able to even save the 50 pesos I mentioned. Then she added another story. I said, make sure you never go in for loan. Never attempt going in for loan from any of the banks as you work in your lifetime. That too, I assured her I will never go in for any loan. Well, listeners, and I think within a year, I was always procrastinating. Tomorrow, oh, I'll start. Next month, I'll start saving, and I couldn't. Before 1 year ended in my working career, I went in for a loan. If I tell you what pushed me to go in for a loan, you will never believe that. And trust me, after that one, I have never been of myself. Each blessed day, loans upon loans. I even took loan to marry. I took loan to finance my children's education. I took loan to finance myself in education. And each day, now there's something we call additional loan. So I have always have to be going for loans upon loans, additional loans. And sometimes you have to go and even borrow the loan money from a banker to settle your loan so that you will be able to get a new loan and you pay the person and my gracious goodness. I went through all the, I don't want to say we went through, I went through all this. And sometimes the month end, you have no money at the bank. How then even do you save? Because I ignore and reject and just threw away the advice the woman gave me. Do not go in for a loan. And I have a belief that I will not die now. That is one thing. Tomorrow will come. Next month will come. And I never thought I'll grow old. Today, as I speak on air now, I for once bought a plot after I met these Databank people, their program in Ho. I think early part of last year. I bought a plot for the first time in my lifetime when I'm age 51. And that was about 3 months ago. To be honest, about 2 weeks ago before the man even gave me my indenture. And I bought this land at Bon. Then I started crying how I'll save, how I can start putting up blocks on it. Indeed, it is never easy to start with. It's never easy. But I kept saying that we don't have the education. We don't have it well grounded like my brother is speaking now from SSNIT now. And I curse government. I curse people. I have been saying they never taught us. Our predecessors, they downplay SSNIT. They downplay insurance. You have people who say insurance, when you go in for it, forget it. You don't get anything. They won't help you. You won't be well when they are going for money. So we have that. I personally have that belief, even up to now. Up to now, I still believe that insurance can't help me in any way. But I realized that I went through a lot and I never benefited from, I never saved money. I never saved a peso. So it's after this program, I said, no. And I'm the type of people, I do a lot of things for people free and people dash me a lot. And when they dash me too, I try to use it. That is not, on a profitable way. Then I quickly start saving. I quickly start saving on my own. Within 2-3 months, I was able to save close to 10,000 Ghana cedis because people have done a lot. Well, my background is HR. So sometimes you do things for people and you hear people, anyway, somebody would care to dash you 1,000 cedis, 500 cedis. But in those days, I do ask myself, what can 1,000 cedis do for me? What can 800 cedis do? What can 500 cedis? Can it buy me a house? Can it start a building tomorrow? I think I personally lost a lot, and I regret it. So, well, I don't want to go to my worst side where it will make, but to be honest with you, if you are on this platform, never think of saving tomorrow. If there's a way you can go back yesterday and start saving, save. And never think that, no, I have a more time. I am left with less than 8 years to go on retirement, and I cannot boast of a one block. The only thing I can boast of, if I've remembered, I would have brought my indenture, everybody would have seen the date on it. I just bought it only this year. In around May, it was in the last 2 weeks when I went home that I was given the indenture that the man signed finally for us. So insurance, and one worst thing, loan, the one I took, which I have not finished paying. I just finished paying. For the first time I took loan in a bank, it's big. I don't have a problem mentioning where is my bank. I took a loan of 4,000, and after I finished paying, I paid 36,000 plus. 36,000 plus. Then I said that money paid on it close to 200,000 cedis, 200 million or plus in old currency. Could I equally put me a chamber at home without toilet or anything that could have easily stayed inside? And now on the way to, I have to start jumping to those financial institutions, PayPal, Israel loan. And I wish I had a chance to print my payslip. I wouldn't have a problem showing it to the world. And you could see how people are. So I want to appeal to our brothers, insurance company, Databank. Please, if there's any way insurance companies can tell government that enough with the politics on air from morning 7 o'clock to 10 or 12, and now they even start from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 6 o'clock at midnight. That young people, giving job to young people, I am one a victim. And I curse government, I curse insurance company, because it's of late that we still need people going around. It's of late we will see data banks going around. In those days, never. They said they take our money and that is all. We're not told the stories, the true stories. From 95, I entered job, government gave me first appointment up to today. I cannot boast of having anything that is, the money is small. And now that I start to save, at the moment, I haven't gone in for my salary for the past 3 months because I'm on secondment somewhere. So I haven't gone for my salary for the past 3 months. I'm trying to use it to go and buy cement down. Blocks. I can't buy the cement big boat. I just want to, I don't want to give my life out on the social media. It's really, really, really hurting. And I thank, how do you call it, Databank, so much for coming to the aid, and at least with the seminar, which I was part of the facilitators, I can assure you I bought a plot, even though I didn't come to your bank. And today I'm trying hard. I would like to say it's okay for now because I'm going to dive into issues that will make me, it's okay, but I have 8 more years to go on retirement and I cannot boast of even a kitchen, a pen for fowls or chickens. But I hope before that time, with the help of Databank, that I'm going to start in some few savings I have been doing for my own. I will surely make it. I will end here and still join the discussion until they ask us to stop. Thank you, my sweet market manager.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Thank you really for your honesty and, you know, just sharing your story, because too many people, you spoke about taking loans to get married. That's something that so many people do. And so already you are starting at a disadvantage because before you can even enjoy and start to build a life, you're saddled with loans. So really, but what I would like listeners to take from your story more than anything else is that it may be late. You may have started late, but it is never too late to start. And last year when we met you, at the time, you didn't even have a plot of land and you were 9 years away from retirement. Thankfully, you now have a plot of land, which is a really big step. And, you know, so we celebrate you in this, and we thank you just for sharing your story with us. To everybody that's listening, I really hope that if you haven't started, you will start today. Don't wait until tomorrow or the next day or the next day. Start today and do something for yourself. So before we move into the Q&A session, we have just a few giveaways that we're going to do. So we'll be giving away some airtime, 20 CDs in blocks, so 5 blocks of 20 CDs. And then we also have a gift voucher for 50 CDs, 100 CDs, and 150 CDs. So the first giveaway will be for 20 CDs airtime. I'm going to ask a question, and when I ask the question, you just need to raise your hand. The first person that raises their hand, we will pick, and if you answer the question correctly, then you will get the airtime. So question 1, but if you don't get it right, then we'll move on to the next person. So get ready to raise your hand. So question 1 is, and this one is really easy. In what year was Databank founded? Ooh, all right, that was quick. So I'm going to unmute Emmanuel Opoku Ajiman. Emmanuel, please unmute yourself and let us hear the answer. Let's see if you're correct.
1990.
Very good. Well done, Emmanuel. So one of my colleagues will actually send you a message in the chat, and then he will find out which telco you are with, and we will sort you out. Okay, so hands down. One more question, and this one is for a 50 CD gift voucher. Okay, and so this gift voucher you can use to invest in any Databank mutual fund of your choice. So the question is, mention 3 partner banks. Oh, the hands are up. I haven't even finished the question. But anyway, name 3 partner banks that Databank is associated with. There are a total of 7, so just name any 3. So I'll start with Nathaniel. Nathaniel, you can unmute yourself and let us hear your answer.
Okay, we have UBA Bank, GT Bank, then
one more.
Access Bank.
Yes, okay, well done. So Nathaniel said Access Bank, GT Bank, and UBA. The others are ABSA, Fidelity, Zenith, and GCB. All right, thank you. So Nathaniel, somebody will reach out to you in the chat as well in a minute or 2. Okay, you can all lower your hands, and then we'll do one more for another 20 CDs of airtime, and then we'll move into the question. So if everyone lowers their hands, please.
Oh, I'm on
Sorry.
mute.
I was muted. Okay, so let me ask the question again. Please name Databank's mutual funds, all of them. And we will start with Nana Ansa. Okay. Nana, you can unmute yourself.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry, I think I muted you by accident. Please unmute yourself again. Nana, can you try unmuting yourself one more time, please?
Unmute. Okay, hello. Can you hear me
Okay,
now?
yes, we can.
Okay, so we have the EPAC, we have the B fund,
Yes,
the EDI fund,
yes.
the AC fund,
Okay.
and the B fund.
Oh, you said B fund already.
Oh, okay. So EPAC, the M fund, the B fund, the EDI fund, and the AC fund.
Yes, very good. Well done. So again, we'll reach out to you in the chat. Thank you very much. So everyone can lower their hands, and then we will move into the Q&A section. So I'm going to ask that if you have a question, please raise your hand, and then we will unmute you, and then you can ask your question. So I am seeing a few hands raised, and I will just start with Bismarck.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hi, Bismarck, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I want to find out any other means of I have EPAC with you, your bank. This is not insurance question, but I have EPAC. You know, now coming to banking hall is another difficult thing. Any means to send a contribution or pay into the account.
Okay. So your question is, instead of coming to the banking hall, are there other options to contribute to your account? Yes, there are actually many options. So you have the option, if you prefer mobile money, you have 3 USSD codes that you can use. There is *6100#. So that's *6100#. And if you're on MTN or Vodafone, you can use that to open an account, check your balance, top up, withdraw, even do direct debit. There's also *737*100#. So that's *737*100#, or *713*100#.
You are going, excuse me, you are going too fast.
Okay. All right. You know what? I think what we'll do is we'll drop it in the chat so that everybody can see it. But yes, your options are mobile money, online with Visa or MasterCard, through our mobile app, and then you can go to any of our partner banks as well. So I had mentioned Access, ABSA, Fidelity, GCB, GT, Zenith, UBA. And when you go, just give them your Databank account number, and then they will pull up your name, and then you'll give them the money, let them know which fund. So we'll put the details in the chat for everyone to see.
All right. Finally, my final question, can such meetings or conferences organized for church, if you are to invite and give us update on, because something on pension, you know, a lot of things are not, a lot of people are not clear about it, as the last speaker.
Yes, absolutely. We're more than happy to do it. So, and there's no charge when we do it. It's education that we do for everyone. So we'll get in touch with you, and then get your details, and then we'll connect and arrange for your church.
I'm so grateful.
No problem. Thank you, Bismarck. Okay, the next is from a Galaxy A11. Please let us know your name and then ask a question.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Nana Kobinaidu.
Hi,
Can you
Nana.
hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, please. My first question is, I have a B fund with you. When I signed up with a B fund, I was topping up my account with the mobile app. But since last month, I've not been able to access my account through the mobile app. I've tried all means. I'm not able to do it. So I'm now using the star 6100 hash to do my top up. But I would like to use the app. So if you can help me with that. And then my second question is also that with the B fund that I'm operating, I thought I couldn't have made withdrawal from it because I want to be disciplined. I don't want to make withdrawals. But I tried last month and it worked. I thought you have a fixed period where the money has to be held in the account before I can make a withdrawal. Why is it so that I was able to request for a withdrawal and it went through? So now I'm looking for a means to put the money back into the account. Why is it so?
Okay, thank you, Nana. With the mutual funds, they're different from treasury bills in that they're not locked in. So you can come and get your money and have access to your money at any time. But again, if you don't need it, then you don't have to take it. The most important thing that we try to provide is accessibility to your funds. What I would also add is that if you really don't want to touch the account and you want to make it a bit difficult to get your money, then reach out to us. We can actually put something on your account, a note on your account, and block it so that before you can withdraw, there has to be a conversation, and then we have to make sure that this is what you really, really want to do.
Great. I'll be happy because I'm working towards a certain amount towards my retirement, and if I do pick the money, I will not be able to meet that target that I've set for myself.
Okay, so we're going to send you a message in the chat, and then just give us your number because I don't have your name registered here. So
wow, I will do that next time.
Okay, thank you so much, Nana Kovada. All right.
My second question, you've not addressed it.
I'm sorry, you want the mobile app top-ups? Yes. So I'll just get somebody from the e-business team to check and see what is happening. That's giving you an issue with access. So we'll deal with both things when we get in touch with you.
Okay. I'll be grateful.
Okay, no problem. So we'll go to Victoria Owusu. Victoria, you can unmute yourself. Victoria. Okay, so all right, go ahead, Victoria. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm speaking from UK. When I was in Ghana, I used to be a SSNIT contributor. I came to Ghana last year and lost my card. But I'm told that if you are a SSNIT contributor, that's when you can get the access to the retirement fund. With my card lost, how do I do that?
Okay, so just to be clear, with SSNIT, I just want to make sure I understand the question, and then I'll ask Frank to do this. So you want to contribute to your SSNIT retirement pension fund, but you've lost your card.
No, I want to contribute to your retirement fund. But I was told, I heard that they will use the SSNIT details to do that. Is that correct?
So Victoria, just to clarify, is it an ID issue? Is it your ID that?
My ID is lost, but you were saying that they're going to use the SSNIT details to do the retirement fund for us.
I'm not sure that was quite it. If you want to open an account with us, we require a valid ID. It's either your passport or a Ghanaian driving license or the voter ID card.
I have a fund. I have the M fund already with you.
Okay.
I am still contributing even whilst I'm here in the UK. But then I thought the question, this thing was that if you have the SSNIT card or the SSNIT contribution, it's easier to register with the retirement fund with Databank. That was what I heard.
No.
No, so we can
no.
just go ahead and do the retirement fund without SSNIT.
Yes.
Oh, okay then. I'm fine with that. And
Yeah.
secondly, if we
but before you continue, I think there's something that you mentioned that maybe we need to let Frank come in. But were you a contributor for SSNIT when you were in Ghana?
Yeah, I was. I used to be. It's quite a long time ago, so I don't know how much or I don't know when or how it's gone to. But my card is lost. But I do have some receipts of the payments, though. I don't know whether that will.
So I think Frank, for such a person, what do they do to be able to have access or to know what their statement looks like? Frank, can you help her out before her second question?
Thank you very much, Kojo. Well, I don't know exactly if she wants to know what she has contributed so far. I'll be able to assist her if she should drop a. Is it that she wants her SSNIT number? She's not sure of this. I heard her saying that she has some payment. Okay, your SSNIT number is on the receipt. All right.
Yeah, so I can get the SSNIT number for you, but the card is what is lost.
Well, don't worry about the card. The card, as we speak now, we've even stopped issuing the SSNIT cards to our members when they register. Okay. You know, in this country, we have so many. Yes, we have so many cards. So we are working with the National Identification Authority to try to use a common card. So for now, we've stopped even issuing the cards out. So don't be too much worried about the card. The number is very important. If you have the number, you can always, it's unique. The number is very unique, and you can always do any transaction you want with SSNIT with the number.
Okay.
So if you want your statement, you can drop the number. I can get your statement with your email. I can send it to you. Way back in the UK, I can do that.
Right. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Frank, we will give you Victoria's details. Victoria will share both of your details with each other so that then you can get in touch.
That's okay. Fine. My second question was that if we're doing transfer into our accounts, they do charge us here. If we want to use the mobile app to do it.
From which account? From your bank account to your mutual fund?
Card, from our Visa card to the M fund.
Yes, there's a charge by the credit card company, Visa and MasterCard. I believe it's 2.75% on the value of the amount that you are transferring. But when you go on to our website to do that transfer, you will see the charge come up before you hit accept.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
Okay then. So with the retirement fund, how much do I need to deposit? And with my age, I'm 50 plus. So how much do I have to pay? And if my daughter is about 21, she wants to do it. So how much deposit do she has to pay, and how much deposit do I have to pay?
Okay, so we'll have to calculate it individually for you, but I can just give you an idea of what the amounts would look like. So let's say you wanted to have 1 million CDs. We'll talk in CDs for now, but it applies whether it's pounds or dollars. But let's say you wanted to have 1 million CDs in your investment by the time you're age 60. If I take you and I take your daughter, if your daughter is 20, and we assume that you are getting an average return of 15% a year, which is quite conservative by Ghanaian standards. But if you assume that you're getting an average of 15% a year, your daughter would need to invest, I believe it's 43 CDs a month at age 20. Yeah, it's 40. So 43 CDs a month. If you are, so she's 20. If you are 25 And I'll say this for the benefit of everyone on the call. And so I'll start again just so that if people want to make notes, they can. So we will assume that everybody wants 1 million CDs by the time they reach 60. If you are 20, your amount is 43 CDs a month. And this is what we call your retirement number, which is that monthly amount that you need to invest to get towards your end goal. So 20 is 43 CDs. If you're 25, it goes up to 89 CDs a month. If you are 30, it is then 180 CDs a month. If you are 35, it is 367 CDs a month. If you are 40, it is 762 CDs a month. If you are 45, it is 1,641 CDs a month. And if you are 50, I believe it's 3,864 CDs a month. But essentially, the takeaway there is that every 5 years, the amount that you would need to invest to hit that goal doubles. And that is why, if you think back to what Frank said at the beginning of the call, where he said, the day you start working is the day you should start investing towards your retirement. The amount your daughter would need to put in on a monthly basis at age 20 is like a drop in the ocean compared to what you would have to do if you were just starting out at age 50. And so what we tell people is that, you know, it's important to know this number, because what it tells you then is either you may need to adjust your end retirement goal. So you may not need, or you may not be able to hit 1 million. You may have to lower it a bit to manage what you can do. Or if you keep it, if you get extra money, then you try and put it towards it instead of spending it as many people would have done without thinking. Now you know that you have a gap that you need to fill, so you put towards it. So we talk about this a lot because it's really, really important, Victoria, that the earlier you start, the better it is for you and everyone involved. But we will get in touch with you directly and then actually help you with the calculations specific to you and your daughter.
Okay. Even though we have pension here, where we want to be home, so at least we get it here and we get it home as well. That's why I'm interested in doing it. So we get a double pension.
Yes, that's very good. Okay, thank you for your questions.
Thank you so much for.
No problem. We'll move on to Michael. Michael, what question do you have? Then I'll answer some questions from the chat. Michael, go ahead. Michael Sechi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. We can't hear you anymore. Yes. Okay, so while Michael is getting connected, Frank, there's a question that came into the chat that maybe I'll see if Michael will come back, but the question for you is, they would like to be educated on how the pension is calculated. So if you can make a note of that, and then let me just see if there's anything else. Okay, so Frank, maybe you can answer that question, and then we'll come back to Michael and see if he's able to speak.
Okay, Gillian, thank you very much. Calculation of pension. Okay. The ingredients that goes into calculation of pensions are as follows. One, your age is a very determining factor, the age. You know, at age 55, you qualify to take your pension, but that is called a reduced pension up to the age of 59. 60 years is where you can earn a full pension, okay? During Kojo's presentation, he mentioned that with a 766, the minimum contribution one has to make is 180 months, which is 15 years. That is also very important. And then the most important factor is the amount involved, the salaries, okay? Pensions over the world don't take a particular year and then assume that to be your annual, salary. It's an average. In Ghana, what we do is that we take the average of your best 3-year salary and divide it by 3, and then the average, then we'll get your average salary. So once you have your average salary, then you are 60 years, okay? And you have made a minimum of 180 months. Per the new law, you are already entitled to what we call 37.5. Can you hear me, Gillian? Am I clear? Okay, all right. You need to get what we call the pension right. Pension right is the percentage of the salary, the annual salary that you are earning that you can take home as your pension. Remember, and we'll use figures here, for example. Remember, when you are working, because you work, you are entitled to your full salary. When you're on pension, you are no longer working. So there's no way any pension scheme can pay you exactly 100% of the salary you were earning whilst working. The scheme is to replace parts of your lost income. So in Ghana, Act 760 says that if you've made the minimum contribution of 180 and you are 60 years of age, then you are entitled to 37.5% as pension right. Now, the more you contribute in addition to the 180 months, the higher the pension right goes up. The pension right can increase up to 60%. Per our 766, there's no way anybody's pension right can go beyond 60%. So if you're on 1,000 cedis salary and you are on pension and you've hit the maximum pension right, what you can take is 600 Ghana cedis. There's no way you can earn beyond 600 Ghana cedis. So the computation of pension depends on these 3 main factors. The age that you retire. If you go at 55, we will discount it because you are going to reduce pension. You have to do the minimum contribution of 180 months. The more contribution you make, the higher your pension right. And then the salary that you take, what you earn whilst working will also determine whether you have higher pensions or not. So we can be of the same age, contribute the same number of years, but if my salary is higher than yours, certainly when we take pension, my pension will be higher than yours, of course. And then we can have the same salary, but if I have contributed into the scheme more than you have done, at the same age, the same salary, certainly my pension right will be higher than yours. And for that matter, my pension that I'll take home will be higher. Maybe because I don't have figures here to go through the calculation, but that's how simple that it is. 3 main determining factors come in when it comes to pension calculation. The age that you retire from 55 to 60 years, the number of months that you've contributed, minimum is 180 months, and then it can go higher as many months as you contribute. The pension rights is maximum 60%, and then the salary. That's why we say that the higher you contribute, the higher salary that you pay Social Security on, the better for you. But remember that with our 766, there's no way you can contribute beyond 25,000 salary in 2020. As we go along, the threshold will be increased. We can be increasing it as and when necessary to go even beyond up to 50,000. I don't know, but for 2020, the threshold is 25,000. So Gillian, that's what I can explain for now. If you want figures, he may put the question across and I'll see if I can narrow it down on calculation.
Okay, Frank.
Hello?
Hi, Frank. Yeah, Kojo here. So what is the number of months contributions that will hit you at 60%? Do you know that figure? Because I know there's an incremental every year.
Yes. We normally try as much as possible. the scheme, remember that even if you hit your maximum 60%, you have a second year that you are contributing. They don't depend on any pension right. For second year, the more money you contribute, the higher lump sum you take home. Okay? So people who hit, I'll answer your question, people who hit 60%, we don't want to discourage them. We still want them to contribute because their second year, which is also mandatory, depends on how much money you have put into it. It will determine what you will get. Sometimes people say, oh, I have done 450 months. So for that matter, I have hit my maximum contribution of 60%. So why do I have to continue contributing? I want to wait there, and then because anything I put there, SSNIT will not factor that in. But remember that second tier is also mandatory. And that one, what you put in, the more money you put in, the bigger amount you will take when you retire. So what I can say is around 450, there I'm not very too, 450 months thereabout is what you need to contribute to hit the 60%. By tomorrow, I'll confirm the exactly month and then I'll put it across on when we have a tomorrow show. But it's around 450 months, please.
Thank you very much, Frank. And Michael, are you able to speak now? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yes, we can.
Please pardon me. I want to speak to you.
Okay, go ahead.
With the Adiasa or China, Adiasa, na the person me in the creek na me koda. My register M-Fan and I'm in Yonkubin, I'm registered M-Fan. The Kenya meaning since 2018, middle of 2018, I'm yes, I will. Media will be coming, be this kind of sending you some fan too. Fortunately, me junior and I know here, obey as a national service or one more branches. And I'm needing come advertise or partner school. Me account on Databank now. So far, me name the account. On check my me check here and then just say initial scan am the chassis and one I there. Me there a womb. No my basa because there's over 1.5 years and then just a matuska there. Egu. Obikai acquainted once a minimum, but with the man say through this meeting, Mode your friend is saying acquire betty me or fee or be or betty my day at this guy there. I two account them direct. I mean, my question is, yeah, I acquainted you, quite many betty my day. I register a retirement fund, no.
Okay, Michael, Maton can me that, but I tia say, oh, Pache say, answer na utumi de ebia visa card now over internet so a top up now money will be sikana na Michael
account no na me account obi ne bi on bi ma moje me passport kwa no de bi etimi no say and me have number na here communication you no sending etimi say okay fine o man chem so obetimi use mobile money and na me visa card so me ba room hatch me ba 2016 to me visa card yes on 2017 na is a bit me access back bio na is a meet me kwa meet me issue and am here so there me one aboamenti there also J na dia kotuma mama enti initially or sending me some payslip before my my sending call Ghana yes anka or sending me some payslip na pictures no payslip me share them who stand be also seen a Databank for the me but risk dance as so I make just last week I said my share me junior I'm in the university back I know or yeah they more no mommy yeah way say oh or you more now no so checking me balance or check my name say 135 and yes me will be say 135 in my account na me raho but na me no be a menya idaka
okay Matthias but say there Matthias say ehun hia kra say o de sika be mani obi ana bibisa wa obetimi if you bank account mo na say the opese o ye ni bi ana
you use what we call the electronic system payment WeChat and Alipay and to have access to link that money directly because and then once a community access to Visa card, MasterCard. This if you're not so some of the banks they no model only one my intimate mouse are there no direct. It's not their money, but through use mobile money, MTN was it,
Yeah.
and then meeting yeah, my mama, many I just say meeting me.
Okay.
I just ask me wallet was send it. But me, this is my question. Point 1 million is the retirement, you know.
Account.
Fine, ben, you beat my day. You move me my register. Now scanner now, Madam Ebon, no say one when you from 30 years, you know. Which are 180, me try. But some of me say me more than 180. Is it accepted?
Yeah, accepted. Age na wow so sometimes your born numbers we mamo na and yes say finchim sa but ye de chere mo ade keke inti say wo de na enso sa figure na your boy na kra de wo bia obetumi de aba say bro so a de wo bia obetumi aba de aba inti ni na agina wow so ye bro ni be kan ye de guide mo keke ni ye de amamo examples keke but yes say ya born say na chese finchim na no na esese odepa inti a church mu keke ni ye de church so ti say na and details are UDBA M fund accounts. Meaning says say wo ID card name nyoma assessant. Sa assessant who bet me send an email our info@databankgroup.com. Now you my email no my boss will be info@databankgroup.com.
Okay.
Info info@databankgroup.com. Now the church and your person the email never communicate but once our OM fund will had it out there and yeah sema heading not just say
me passport and
you bet to me the annual sign I created different account amount and yeah it does it
didn't my register money.
You bet to me I am I
apart from M fund, no, with the say insurance as
investment as
investment ben biomna like you M fund no kind of no kwanya me share ni much details for no but obi na suggest mam na me yes no monye or man share much inquiries
say be ya yen chichire emreni na ama unkwana me pouch say o send the email no ko wa ye be church oni ma ni na mu but ma me kan till say ye of say obi bought 5 different products ni na age or risk appetite or age na but I see wo so person o di sika ne ye age na emre a wo nti as say ye na o twetwe nkomo na ye hu but I see we ni ne o person o ye ne or risk appetite or ansa na ya can say okay any sa dia product we ye wo ho a obi tumi ka say o me koye yi pack na ye pa mama say na until so eno nti waba na so waba beto ipak no so e bia na afi na obae no ipak na e bia anko yi say bia stock market na anko yi na anko na te say na wo hwehwe no na obu efu but so unya abotre ne ye twetwe nkomo e ma yete ho ase na won so te ase a na wa te ase say ipak o he bia etumi kosro etumi ba form nti ejina na opesa oye no so na opesa oye kra obetumi de M fund na ye M fund na fixed income your friend fixed income no a more stable, less risky. And your balance funds, no, your B fund, your ARC fund, na Eddie fund too. And only now you balance it no between fixed income and stock exchange. It's not the person not the amount appropriate product or better now the eye. So
with a quick one, into bit to make 2 services at the same time.
But I bet to be in 5 funds nina.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Into where the marine team are obi for front to me because I like. It's all what China there, but yeah, that's it.
Me that's me. I'm a nikum. Me that's it.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Michael. Okay, Thomas has a question. So Thomas, if you can unmute yourself, then we'll ask your question. Then we'll come back to the others.
Yeah, thanks so much. My question goes to my brother, the SSNIT officer. Can we have a chart of SSNIT contributions and benefits? For instance, what I'm contributing now, if I even maintain it up to age 60, how much I'm gonna take home now? Can we have that thing always published so that people can easily go and have it. And can we also have the same thing from Databank? So that if you start contributing this for this number of the numbers, the figures you are mentioning, 3,000. For me now, my fear has started again. I need 3,000. And my salary is now to 3,000, so I'm getting wondering what do I do? And then this one goes back to my friend, the CEO. Yes, invest is good. But can you catch them young? You catch us young when they are just entering the working environment, the nurses, the teachers, the police, the military. You put us on 2, 4, 5 bedrooms for them. You tag it against their salary. So I know that for the past 10, for the next 10 or 20 years that I'm paying money, I'm paying for the house that I'm even owing. I can be renting that burden to even contribute. I pay fast my loan. You ask me to go to mortgage or those people, I don't want them. Because you tell them I won't go there. But to invest in your place and take it for my pension, and I need a house too for my pension. You know me, it's only house I talk about. I need a house for my pension. What can you start for me immediately? I'm putting out this big machine for you. Pay me 500 Ghana cedis every month for the next 30 years. And that is your pension house. Can something happen? Thanks.
Okay, Frank, do you want to start from the SSNIT side?
Yes, Gina, let me start. Yes. Thank you very much. Let me clarify this, that SSNIT, what we are running, the scheme that we are running is called a defined benefit scheme. Okay, defined benefit scheme. What that means is that before a member even becomes a member of SSNIT scheme, if he can predict the income or salary that he will be earning when he's retiring, that person can even know the benefit that he will take when he retires. Okay, that's a bit different from the other one called defined contribution scheme. The defined contribution scheme is what when you put in whatever you have there, with the interest that comes in will determine what you take out. So with the defined benefit scheme, yes, we can do something, but it's a bit difficult for us to come out with a chart to say that if you put in this one, you'll get that. Because the variables are a lot, okay? Your age is one of it. The number of years you contribute to the scheme is one of it. And then the salary that your average salary will also determine what you will get. So perhaps I will carry this as a suggestion to my superiors, and then we will sit down with our team to see if possibly we can come out with a chart. But what matters is that what we are operating is called a defined benefit scheme. And from day one, before you join, one is able to, with a formula, will be able to even calculate whatever benefit he or she is likely to get when he retires at a certain age. So I think we'll carry that one to my team, and we'll see if possible we can bring something out for now.
Okay, thank you, Frank. And on the Databank.
Let me put across, please, the question you asked. Could you ask a question? How many months you need? It's 420 months to hit the 60%.
That's over 30 years of working.
Yes, 420 months, then you can hit the 60%. So if you don't start early, I'm sorry, you will not hit the 60%.
Really?
Yeah.
So if you don't,
It will interest you to know a lot of people hit the 30 years is now, people do 35 a lot, you know?
No, but okay. 420.
Wow. Okay.
So thank you.
Okay, so Thomas, just to give you and others an idea in terms of being able to do the calculations yourself, and you were saying that, okay, I gave a certain amount, but if you don't even have that amount, then what do you do? So number one is you don't get discouraged at all. And I'm just going to quickly show everyone Databank's website so that you can see how you can actually do the calculation for yourself. So this is Databank's website, and there's a section that is called tools. In that, you have the retirement calculator. There are a number of retirement calculators, but the one to calculate your retirement number is a general retirement calculator. And you also have an investment calculator. So I'll start with the investment calculator. When you go there, you have a choice of choosing, wanting to find out if you have a target that you are trying to hit, how much do you need to invest monthly to get there? Or if you have a certain amount that you can invest, then how much will it give you after a certain period of time? So Thomas, in the case of your question, let's assume we'll use the end result, which tells you that if you put in a certain amount every month, this is what your end balance will be. So if you can't do 3,000 a month, but you can do 500 CDs a month. So I'll enter it here very quickly. So assuming you can do 500 CDs a month, and you'll start out with, let's say 500, you put that in, and you say you have maybe 20 years to invest. And we like to use 15% just because it's close to the Treasury bill rate. If you put that in, what it tells you is that at the end of 20 years, you would have 665,000 CDs. You would have put in 120,000 out of your own pocket, and then the rest, the growth on your investment would have been 545,000. So you can actually play around and adjust the contribution amounts, adjust the time, and you'll see what you can get. If we were doing the example of the 1 million goal at age 60. If you are, how much is the 180? If you're 30, sorry, if you're age 30 and you want to have that 101 million CDs by the time you are 60, then it means you're investing for another 30 years. And again, we'll select 15%. It shows that you would need 179.6, so 180 CDs a month. You would have put in 64,000 out of your own money, but then the growth would have been 935,000. And how that growth comes about is through what they call compound interest, which means that every day we will pay interest, but we keep paying interest on the total amount that is in your account and not just the amount that you started with. So the more money you have, then the more growth you have over time. But if you shorten the time period, then you don't get as much compounded interest. So it's something that you should know. And then we spoke about the retirement calculator, and I'll just show you that very quickly. So to find your retirement number, there's a calculator and it asks you what age do you want to retire. So let's assume it's 60 and you say you are now age 35. So it tells you that you have 25 years to retirement. Then it asks you how much money do you need on a monthly basis to retire comfortably. And these are some of the questions that we did in the poll. Many of you said 5,000 to 10,000. So assuming we say 5,000, then we ask how many years do you expect to be in retirement, assuming you live till age 85. So at a minimum, we tell you to plan for 25 years. But one of the things that we always tell people is there are some people, when you look at their family history, people are living into their 90s. And so your family just generally has a longer lifespan. In that case, you want to plan for 30 years, 35 years into retirement. So you can put in this case, we'll put in 25 years, but depending on your scenario, you may put in 30, 35, even 40. There's a lady at Databank who I think her grandmother and some aunts are all over 100. So at that point, you can't plan for 25 years. You need to plan for a lot longer. But in this case, If you want 5,000 CDs and you are planning on having enough money for 25 years, what the calculator tells you is that you would need 1.5 million CDs to fund your retirement. Then we ask, how much money do you already have invested? A lot of people are actually still around zero. So let's say it's zero. Then we just want to find out how much of a risk taker you are with investing, whether low, medium, high. Most people, truthfully, are low. So I advise you to just leave it at low. And once that is done, it gives you the details that you put in, and then it gives you the amount you need to contribute. So in this case, if somebody's example was this, your retirement number would be 550 CDs a month. So that just gives you an idea of how it works. These calculators are available on our website, so you can take your time and go through them and play around with them so that you get it. So I'll open up the question to Shadrach and then Malika. So Shadrach, you can go ahead.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Please, I have 3 questions. The first one is, when it comes to the retirement plan, which of the mutual funds is better? That is my first question. And on the retirement, can one withdraw some of the money can someone withdraw some of the money of the retirement money in the course of the contribution? That is the second question. And on the direct debits, when you use the short code, the *600#, can I know my secret question, just in case I want to upgrade the money I chose before, like say 200, I want to move from 200 cities to, let's say, 300 cities. Can I know my secret number somewhere? Secret question. That's the third question.
By secret number, do you mean your retirement number?
No, the secret question, when you are using the mobile money for the direct debits,
okay,
you want to do monthly contribution via the mobile money through the short code, the 600, the 6. I just want to change from the 200, maybe I chose the initial stage, to maybe 300. I'm sure you will ask of the secret question you chose when you are registering.
Okay.
And here's the case, maybe I've forgotten the secret question. How can I get it?
Okay. All right. So in terms of the question about which mutual fund is better, Kojo, I think you can take that one. And also, if you want to withdraw money during the contribution, the time you're contributing, can you do that?
So I'll take this opportunity to repeat myself and say that at Databank, usually we do not answer the question straight up and say, this is the product or that is the product. What we normally do is we like to have a conversation with you to understand what it is you want, to understand what your risk appetite is, to understand your objectives. When we get all that, then we usually will recommend an appropriate product and also let you know all the risks associated with that. In our experience, we get to know that some clients will come back 3 years down the line and probably will even tell you, we never ever said this, or we never ever expected this or that. And especially now that our financial services sector has experienced so much turmoil, we are extremely careful. So I will, if you go onto our website and our fund fact sheets, you will see that some of the products are able to return maybe in a certain year, a very, very high return. And then in another year, it just drops, sometimes even into negative. And then in another, so it fluctuates, it's very volatile. Others, not so volatile. You see them in steady, slow growth over a period. So it all depends on what it is you want and how much time you have. And we always say the younger you are, the more risk you can take. And as you grow, we tend to recommend less volatile, riskier products for you. In the course of your investments, yes, you can withdraw money at any point in time. But there was one participant who had even said that they want to even be prevented from withdrawing so that the discipline is there. But by law, we should be able to allow you to withdraw anytime you want to withdraw. Note that investment is quite different from insurance. Sometimes with insurance, you can only access the funds at a certain point in time following a certain event. But with investments, you can come in for your money at any time. If you think you are not disciplined enough and you want us to block the account such that no withdrawals can happen on it, yeah, we are prepared to do that for you. We are also even looking at developing another product that has that inherent prevention in there, and we expect that to come out early next year. We are going through the legal and regulatory hoops and loops right now. So I hope I've answered your question, but I will not state point blank here that go for EPAC, go for M Fund, go for B Fund, EDI Fund, or ARC Fund. It all depends on you. Just know the product, know what you want, know your risk appetite, and then we'll give you a recommendation.
Okay. And then, Shadrach, for the question on the knowing your secret question, if for any reason you lose it, then you should just contact our main line and they will put you through to our e-business team. They will take you through a verification process, and then if needs be, then we'll assist you to reset it. But that has to be done once you contact us. Okay, thank you. So we'll move to Malika. Malika, do you have a question? Malika. Okay. All right. In the meantime, we will take a question from Rachel.
Afternoon.
Hi, Rachel.
I have 3 questions, but 2 just require short answers. The first one is, I didn't really understand the part about the annuity payments, the age being moved from 72 to 75 years. I didn't understand that part. And then with the SSNITs, the second question, with the SSNIT contributions, are the contributions made on the single spine salary or the gross or the net salary? Because if I remember correctly, Mr. Mobila said that the SSNIT contributions are not made on allowances, but our salaries tend to include allowances. So which of the salaries are the SSNIT contributions made on? And then lastly, the 25,000 limits, CD limits, is it for the single spine salary or the gross or the net salary?
Okay, thank you very much, Rachel. Frank, before you answer, I think what I'll do is I'll just take a few more questions and then we'll start answering them. So I will call on Kenneth and then Nathaniel. So Kenneth, please go ahead.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
My question has to do with inflation and depreciation of the cedi. How can we protect our investments against these two major things? And is there merit in saving in, let's say, a foreign currency, for example, doing your retirement plan in dollars instead of cedis to mitigate this risk? Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth. And Nathaniel, please give us your question.
Good afternoon, again. This is my question. It goes to the Senate director. My question is that if someone, your employer, hello?
Yes.
Okay. If your employer haven't paid your SSNIT, and you reported him to the SSNIT official, but when the SSNIT official came, they said, according to the SSNIT official, they said because the employer doesn't pay or doesn't give out a pay slip, they cannot take up the issue. Because whenever the employer is paying the staff, it normally pays them through a check, but it doesn't give them a pay slip. So in that case, what can one do?
Okay. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Nathaniel. Frank, you've noted that one too as well. All right. We'll just take a few more questions just so that we can speed it up a bit. So we'll go to Ako Johnson and then Dixon Addae.
Please, my last question. I'm not done.
Oh, Nathaniel, you still have one more? Okay.
Yes, one question from Databank. I have to if funds at Databank. How can I check them simultaneously? Is there a way you can check all your funds at the go?
Yes. He says he has 3 accounts. Is there a way he can check his balances?
Okay, all right. We'll answer that in a second. So we'll take Dixon. I'll take Dixon and then we'll start to answer those questions. Dixon, can you go? All right. Okay. Dixon, I think you are having a challenge. So we'll start with Frank. If you can answer the questions that you got, and then we'll move to Kojo to answer the ones that he received.
Thank you, Gillian. Thank you very much. Let me start with the second one. That's, employer is not paying SSNIT, and then we are told that no pay slip is issued. And so for that matter, there's nothing we can do about it. That is very incorrect. What happens is that if you report to us that your employer is not paying your SSNIT for you, normally what we need to do is we want to have some evidence to really show that you are an employee of that employer. There are so many evidence that we can have, not necessarily pay slip. First of all, we want to make sure that you are in the employer's payroll. So we'll visit the employer, you can go through the payroll, but it looks like this employer is someone who is not actually paying his employees through the bank, maybe tabletop or something. You know, there are so many evidences that we can look for to be able to force the employer to pay your social security. When it becomes worse, we want to prosecute such an employer, but you know you can't go to court and go and talk on assumptions. Certainly you need to provide something to the court for them to see that really the member you are talking about is a worker for that employer, and then he's been working for some years and he's been receiving money as payment, and then social security is not being paid on that. So gentlemen, the pay slip helps us just to help us make our work easier. But if the pay slip is not there, there are so many other evidences that we will look for. For instance, attendance book is there. You can look at the attendance book. When we see your name there, it means you work there. We can look for the payroll. If you see your name there, it means you work there. And we can even speak to you for you to give us any other evidence that you have beside the pay slip. So please, it's not very accurate. I don't know whether any SSNIT staff came there and said because no pay slip, he cannot do the work. Maybe after the year, you can contact me. I'll follow up and make sure that that employer pays every single contribution that is supposed to be paid for you. And then my ladies issue to want to know which of the salaries that SSNIT contribution is supposed to be contributed on. SSNIT contribution is a statutory deduction, okay? It is deducted first before tax is paid on the rest. And for that means that no tax is paid on the SSNIT contribution. So your basic salary, or what we call the gross, is what the SSNIT contribution is deducted from before any other deductions can come in. If you have allowances, I don't know, the allowances that your employers are not paying tax on, certainly social security will not be added. But employers have so many ways of categorizing the emolument that we receive. Some will call it some names, but if they are purely allowances, that tax are not paid on them, then social security will not be deducted. But if it's a way of trying to outwit by giving them some names. Once it's part of the gross or basic, then Social Security will be deducted from that basic or gross. That's the letter that I can say. Thank you, Gillian.
Thank you, Frank. Kojo, so there was one question about inflation and depreciation and then checking balances at a go.
So I think what we didn't, the caveat is there, but what we didn't really say with was all the numbers we put out there and all the information we put out there with if the interest rate is average X to hit a fixed number Y and all that. What we didn't really say was in those scenarios, we've held inflation and depreciation constant, but we all know that in this part of the world, inflation is an issue, depreciation is an issue. So knowing that every year at a minimum, it will be good. I mean, as for the million is the million. So if you continue with that philosophy or that formula, you will hit the million. The issue is that the million in 20 years' time, is it the same million today? And in Ghana, obviously not. It's likely to have devalued. So you always have to keep an eye on inflation and on depreciation and try and adjust your monthly contribution accordingly. As a rule of thumb, I always say that if you are lucky enough for your employer to give you a pay rise, also increase your contribution by that percentage pay rise. So even if inflation is 10% and your pay has been increased by 15%, I'll recommend that you increase your monthly contribution by the 15% and not just by 10% and chop the 5. That is something I'll always recommend. And then you ask whether it is reasonable or is worth it saving in dollars so that the value of your money is maintained. Well, by law in Ghana, we are supposed to do all our transactions in Ghana cedis. So to be honest with you, we don't go down that path. But I am aware that because we have quite a liberal foreign exchange regime, people do go ahead and buy dollars and put it in their homes and all. There's a risk there. I mean, over a long period of time, you would have accumulated quite a lot of cash in dollars or in hard currency, which then now you have to start thinking about safety and security. You could also put it in the bank. But you know, every time laws change, and there was a time where even withdrawing your dollars from the bank would require you to pay a certain penalty and all that. So, and then in addition, sometimes the currency that you are holding, the host country, be it UK or US or wherever it is, the Eurozone, they change the currency and suddenly a 20-pound note that you are holding doesn't become legal tender, and now you have to find a friend who has a bank account. So you can do it, but it's not advised. I think if you stay focused on your home currency and adjust for inflation and depreciation, you should be fine. Then I think it was Nathaniel who asked whether you can check all your 3, 5, 4 accounts at the same time. The answer is yes. Actually, I don't know when you opened your Databank mutual account, but for now, for a few years now, one account hosts all your mutual fund accounts. So when you get the statement, if you have M fund, B fund, R fund, EDI fund, IPAP, it will show all under one account. If you are on *6100# as well, you can go there and check all your balances simultaneously. So that's possible. I think I've taken the question.
Okay, Dixon, are you on? Yeah, I think he's having a challenge with his mic. So there are a number of questions that came in the chat. So Frank, there are a number of them that I will read out to you and you can take note. I've also just pushed them to you by WhatsApp, so you can check your WhatsApp as well. And then Kojo, there are a couple for you. So Frank, James Aka says, for SSNIT, if you are not able to hit the 15-year mark, but let's say you contribute for 10 years, 12 years, or 14 years, does that mean you lose your pension or you are just paid a lump sum? So that's one question. The second one is from Bernard. Do you lose your pension when you contribute for more than 15 years, but you have to go on medical invalidity? So that's the second one. Frank, I hope you are following and you can hear me.
Gillian,
Okay.
please give me the second one. I need the second one, please.
Okay, sure. So the second one is, do you lose your pension when you contribute for more than 15 years, but you have to go on medical invalidity? Did you get that one?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
then
you. Yes, I did. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Then there's another one from Florence Daddy. She says, if I contributed to SSNIT for 9 years and changed employer such that I am now in GUSS, what happens to the SSNIT contributions I made? Did you get that one?
Yes, please. I got it. Thank you.
Okay, then there's another one from Bridget, who says, I used to work and pay my SSNIT, but now I have stopped working because I'm back to school. I want to know what will happen to what I have contributed so far.
Good.
Okay, then I have two more. So I'm just clearing everything in the chat because we want to wrap up in about 10 to 15 minutes. So the next question is, what should you do if your employer is paying less amounts than expected into your SSNIT? What can be done to rectify it? This is from Kwame Yaboa. Did you get that one? Okay, and then the last one for you. The last one for you is, it says from Michael Odro, says, I have already registered with SSNIT, but I haven't paid any contributions because my employer does not pay me on time. Can I sign up for the retirement, I think, fund and begin paying? So that's, I think, half you, half Kojo. But the fact is, his employer doesn't pay on time. So there's a challenge contributing to SSNIT. And did you get that one?
Yes.
Okay. And then Kojo, there. Okay, so I'll clear yours and then I'll give Kojo his two.
So can I respond?
Yes, please.
Can I respond to them?
Yes, okay. Go ahead.
All right, so I'll start with James lump sum. James says that if you contribute for 10, 12 years, but you've not made it 15 years, what happens to your money? Whatever money that you put, once you get to the retirement age, as provided in the Constitution of this Republic, is 55 years and above. Once you are 55 years, if you feel that you are tired of working and you can no longer work, you can come to SSNIT and assess your money. So when you come to SSNIT and you have made 10, 12 years contribution and you are 55 years and you stop working and you tell SSNIT that I want to assess my money, we will look at the benefit that you are entitled to, and that will be lump sum. It's called old age lump sum. All contributions that you have made with the associated interest we put together and pay to you. We don't normally encourage people who are 55 years and haven't made the minimum contribution of 15 years to come for their money. Remember that the pension is very beneficial. The aim of the scheme is that every member should aim at going on any pension. So if you are not 60 years yet and you have done like 12 years and you come, we will not encourage you, but if you insist, once you are 50 years, you are entitled to a lump sum. We'll calculate and pay you your lump sum for you to go, which is rather cheaper for SSNIT than the pension. That's it. Then the invalid, the invalidity has to do with age. Any person who is working, SSNIT is there to replace a lost income of a member. The invalidity is a situation where our members are working all right, but due to some permanent incapacitation, they can no longer work. And for that matter, if you can no longer work, no employer will be engaging you to be in the house and they'll pay you salary. What it means is that you would have lost your income. So that's where SSNIT comes in. No matter the number of years you have contributed, if you've done 15 years and you are not still 55 years and above, you cannot access your pension. So let's assume you've done the 15 years all right, but your age, you are not up to 60 years, and then you find yourself permanently incapacitated. Such a member straightly will have to apply for what we call the SSNIT invalidity pension. Okay, you have to be declared redundant by your employer based on medical grounds, and you be a medical board to look at you, to examine you, to really certify that you are incapacitated. In fact, the incapacitation here is not temporary. It must be permanent. So I don't mean if you lose a limb or something, then you come to SSNIT and say, no, you want to come in for your money. That is not it. I mean, people, for instance, if you have a driver, somebody who makes his living from driving, and that person goes blind, it's not possible for him to continue to drive with blindness. So such a person, we can say, is permanently incapacitated. So when our medical board certified that he's permanently incapacitated, no matter the age, SSNIT will put you on pension. In fact, the youngest person to ever go on SSNIT pension was at the age of about 24 years old. At 24 years, he was put on pension. And the qualifying condition is that you just have to make 12 months continuous contribution for the last 36 months. That's all. And then you are permanently incapacitated. Once you have 12-month contribution for the last 36 months, you qualify to be on our invalidity pension. And such a person will continue to receive pension until when he or she passes away. But if you become fit again, we will have to ensure that you come back to the working pool, you come and continue working. Then the pension will cease. Okay. Number 3 is Florence. Florence says that 9 years, he has changed. I think he's now with the university. Whatever money you put to SSNIT, let me make it clear that it's never lost. If you belong to another pension scheme, not under the SSNIT pension, but you've made some contribution already, you can continue with your new pension scheme. But when, for our age limit, the 55 to 60, we don't compromise on it. In fact, we have police officers who started as civilian workers, contributed to the scheme, and later got the police service and they entered. And you know the police are not with the SSNIT scheme. Such people, when they are 55 years, they can come for their money from SSNIT with interest. We call it a refund of contribution with interest. So Florence, in your case, if you've done 9 years and then you are with another scheme that is not under the SSNIT scheme, when you are 55 years and above, you can come to SSNIT for us to give you your money with the interest. But I will advise that if you have some private work that you are doing on your own, with 9 years, you can continue contributing to the scheme, but we will certify the work that you are doing before we allow you to do such a contribution to our scheme. In that case, what it means is that when you are 55 years and above, and you've done the 15 years, you can still qualify for pension with us. Bridget says he contributed, and he went back to school. And that what happens to her contributions? Bridget, if you contribute to SSNIT, and then you've gone back to school, we will keep your contribution. Once you are not at a pensionable age, which is 55 years and above, there's no way you can access any money with SSNIT. In fact, you can only take your SSNIT money when you are not 55 years in a situation of survivor's benefit, which you will not get. It is your beneficiaries. It is one benefit that no contributor wants. That one, your nominated beneficiaries, is when you are no more, then we'll pay the money to. That one, we don't need the 55 years. But if you are alive and you want to access the money on your own, you must hit the 55 years. So Bridget, when you go to school and you come back and you get a job, you come and continue with the contributions you made with us before you went to school, so that you can make the minimum contribution of 15 years in order to qualify for your pension. Kwame, yes, you were saying that, Kwame, less than, yes. Kwame's own, he contributed less than expected, right? Dile, can you help me here? Kwame said he contributed less.
So Kwame said that what should you do if your employer is paying less than expected into your SSNIT?
Thank you very much. Kwame, what you need to do is that you quietly find a way of informing SSNIT about it. Don't let your employer know. If your employer gets to know, I can assure you that you will no longer be working with him. So please, quietly, you can go to our website and drop a mail quietly there. You can even decide to not to mention your name, whatever, and tell her, give us the name of your employer and then the location. We will come there and then come and inspect the books. We will not let the employer know that the information came from you, so that we will make sure that all the difference that he has to pay for you, he will do that. In fact, it's very important that we make sure that our employers are paying the SSNIT on exactly the salary that we are taking. During my submission, I made it very clear that some employers have two payrolls, one for SSNIT and one for the worker. All is because anytime they pay you on less salary, the employer is saving some 13% on the money he should have paid for you. So they are better off not paying on the higher salary. So Kwame, please, you can drop a note for me quietly in the group, then I'll make a follow-up for you. Don't worry, I will not, the confidentiality is assured. So you can continue doing your job. But please don't let your employer know that you have informed SSNIT about this, because they can use it against you. Michael, your issue, whether your employer pays you on time or not, it shouldn't affect SSNIT payment. In fact, SSNIT is not on cash basis. Once the salary is earned in a month, whether you have received it or not, your employer is bound by law to make sure that such contribution is paid on your behalf. I'm sorry, and it's unfortunate that he doesn't pay you on time, but to us, we don't need him to pay you, put the money in your account before the Social Security payment will be due. So you can also help us by maybe going to our website to drop whatever concern that you have. We will follow up, but it will be difficult for us to force your employer to pay you on time. That one, we don't have the mandate. Our mandate is to make sure the Social Security that goes with that one is paid for you. That one, we can enforce that. But paying you on time, it is way out of our mandate. Lillian, this is what I can respond to the questions so far. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Frank. There are 3 questions in the chat that I'll also ask to Kojo. One is from George, one is from Halali, and then one from Evelyn. So George asked, he said he would like to find out what your advice would be for those who are self-employed and not earning much and profits aren't steady. And some months they have, other times they don't. So how does such a person make or ensure regular contributions? Should I ask all 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the first question from George. The second question.
Okay, no, let me take it. Okay, so first of all, let me just make it clear that when it comes to investing and maybe saving for your future or for anything that you have, any objective you have, no amount is small. There is never a small amount to invest with. I have a rule of thumb, and I always say that Ghana is quite a predominantly Christian country, and we believe in tithing a lot. And the principle of tithing is the 10% rule. So I always say if you can tithe, you can invest. And if you just invest 10% of whatever it is that you earn as a rule of thumb, it's a start. So for those in the informal sector and those who don't earn a constant stream of income, when you, in a bad month, let's say you earn only 10 cedis, take 10% of that 10 cedis and put it into the investment that you intend or that you have. When the month is good and you get 200 cedis, take 10% again of that 200 cedis and then invest it. But what you don't have to do is say that this month I didn't get enough, so I won't invest. That, I don't want you to have that frame of mind. You always have to go with your 10% rule. In fact, there are some schools of thought that put this figure at a higher level. But I always say, at least start with 10%. And when the habit comes through, then you can increase it to 20 and then to 30%. So just make sure that you're constantly investing. And if you're in the formal sector, I don't know if Frank, you've hinted on that, but I know SSNIT stopped looking at the informal sector formally. I mean, I think that there was a subsidiary that was looking at that part. I know that there were plans to bring it back into the fold of SSNIT. But SSNIT have an informal sector product that they do. But you can also come to us and we will create a product, or we'll give you an appropriate product that you can always invest in and keep your discipline around it.
All right, the next question.
Let me just respond briefly to that aspect.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Yes. Yeah. It is correct that we were somewhere along the line, we tried to go back for the informal sector. By the way, the informal sector is no longer, it's not NTAC, even though it's our investment, but it's no longer directly under SSNIT. So
yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. We tried to go back for it, but somewhere along the line, the Board of Trustees had issues. We are mandated by law to operate the first year.
Yeah.
If we want to go into the informal sector, we will be finding a way of entering the third year scheme.
True.
Using the first year fund to go and work in the third year was going to create some problem for us. And we were scared that, the way our members are now very aware, if you are not careful, we'll find ourselves in the court. So
I agree.
The Board of Trustees abandoned that. So for now, I can tell you that we are no longer taking back the informal sector. We've left it for the operators to continue with it. However, people who are in the informal sector and they are earning some income can come to us for voluntary contribution. Those, in fact, those who earn very high pension from us are people, chief executives who are on their own. So those in the informal sector but have some contribution to make, when they come to us, we'll take them through the voluntary contribution. That is the clarification I want to make. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification. So I will recommend that if the person who asked the question wants to have it within the purview of SSNIT, then they will go down the voluntary contribution route. Otherwise, you can come to us and we'll give you an appropriate product to put some money aside for your future.
Okay, then Evelyn asks, is it advisable to have all your investments spread in different types of investments within the same investment bank?
To answer that question, we get that a lot. It also all depends on what you want. I have an investment in all 5 products, primarily because maybe I started EPAC when I was quite young, and then as time went on, I went into the other products. But yeah, I mean, the more diversity you have in your portfolio, the better it is for you, so that the year one product is having shocks, then the other product can balance it out. And there's nothing stopping you also from going to our competitors. I mean, you can always invest. Once you invest with us, you can always go and invest with a competitor to spread your risk and manage your portfolio. But please, before you go and invest with any firm, even with us, do your checks, do your due diligence, ask the relevant questions. Ask the relevant questions. Who are these people? Who are their regulator? What is their track record? Who are the people behind it? Do they file their returns? And do they file their returns on time? Do they have credible auditors? These are very important questions that most of us do not ask. We just go in because a friend said, hey, this place is good or that place is good. But please take your time and ask the relevant questions and do your checks before you go in to invest with any organization or company that is putting out itself as an investment bank.
Okay, thank you, Kojo. And then there was a question from Horlali where she said that she usually tries to convince friends to take up investments with Databank. They show interest, but what holds them back is a current clearing up of banks in Ghana. So she would like to know how safe it is to invest with Databank in such regards.
Okay, so I mean, this is close to what I was trying to say about knowing which company it is that you are investing in and all that. But sometimes it's also good to understand the corporate governance structures around us. And I know time is fast spent. This was supposed to be a 2-hour seminar, but thank you guys for the participation. We've gone well over 2 hours and 40 minutes, but I'll be very quick. All the products that we've mentioned at Databank, that's EPAC, M Fund, EDI Fund, ARC Fund, B Fund, they are structured as companies on their own, separate from Databank as a fund manager, a group company, or the asset management company. They are two separate, they are separated completely. Now, M Fund, B Fund, EPAC, etc., they have their own board of directors. They are independent board of directors, independent of Databank, the company. So it is well separated. And if you go and check, even on our website, you will see that the composition of those boards are independent of the Databank company boards. I am probably the only one who is an executive who sits on the board, but every board needs an executive director so that you can get information from the independent boards and go and execute at management level. That's the main reason why I'm there. And all these independent board of directors are customers of the products of the M Fund Company Limited, B Fund. They are all customers. I don't think every quarter when we meet, they will just allow their own investments to just fizzle away. Every quarter, I have to go to a board meeting and answer questions as to how much money we got, where did we put the money, what did we invest in, why did we invest in that, what is the risk. And I keep telling people that the collapse of banks thing, if you read the law carefully, Act 929 that we work with, and you follow the way the act has been designed, and you do what the law requires you to do, it's a very unlikely that you will go down. It's very, very unlikely. Yes, it's true that you can invest in a certain stock on a stock market and the stock will drop, or you invest in some commercial paper or a corporate bond and it could shake up. But it all has checks and balances in there. So please, it's the company, Databank, the asset management is well protected from the products that you invest in, which are also companies on their own. I really wish I had more time. I would have put up some slides for you to see how the governance structure is. But yeah, we get a lot of that question about how safe it is and will we collapse. But if you check with the regulator and all the AGMs we do and how transparent we are, you see that we are quite a well-run company. Don't forget, we've been in existence. Somebody answered the question for 30 years.
Okay. We have gone beyond the time that we had actually planned to go, and there are still many hands raised, but we have to stop. We can't go forever. So those that have their hands raised, what I would encourage you to do is put your question in the chat or send your question to us by email at actually send it to marketing@databankgroup.com and we will answer. You can also join, there are 3 more sessions. There's one tomorrow, one on Thursday, and one on Friday, same time. So you can always join those as well and ask your question there. But just to help manage everybody's time, we will stop taking the questions now. We have a few more giveaways for those who were very patient and stayed the whole time. So if I could ask everyone, please, to just lower their hands so that they can get ready to raise it. And then I'll ask a few questions and then we'll take it from there. So, okay, so this question is for 20 CDs airtime. And the question is, on which mobile networks can you use *6100#? Isaac. Oh. Okay, so I have Emmanuel as the first hand at the top of the list. So Emmanuel, can you answer which mobile
Sure.
networks can you use *6100?
MTN and Vodafone.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right.
I'm
So
looking for
next is a 100. What? Okay. Thanks, Emmanuel. So we'll get in touch with you through the chat. Next question. So I have 2 more giveaways for today. 100 CD gift voucher. And this one is, what percentage of, oh, Ebenezer. You guys, you're raising your hands. I haven't even started the question, but okay, no problem. What percentage of your salary goes into the Tier 1 pension scheme? And is it your basic salary or your net salary? So I'll go with Ebenezer to start. Ebenezer, please go ahead. If your mute button doesn't work, then you're in trouble. Okay, Ebenezer, go ahead.
It's 15%.
No, Ebenezer, sorry. We'll have to move on to the next person. So I'll move to Apenteng. Please unmute yourself. The question is, what percentage of your salary goes into Tier 1? And is it your basic salary or your net salary?
The Tier 1 is your basic salary, and it's 13%, 13.5%. That goes into the Tier 1, but the net people will take it.
Okay. Yeah, you've gotten it. So well done, Apenteng. So you just won 100 CD investment voucher. So if all the hands can be lowered, and then I have one last question, and this one is for 150 CDs.
So how will I get it?
Okay, Apenteng, we will reach out to you because you registered. Somebody will send you a message in the chat, and then we'll reach out to you and give it to you.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so all the hands down, please. Oh, hands down. Okay, now I'm going to ask my question. Okay, so final question is, what percentage of your salary goes into Tier 2 of the pension scheme? And is it your basic salary or your net salary? And we'll go with Richard Incoom first.
Please, it will go to, it's on your basic salary.
And what's the percentage?
The basic salary.
And what's the percentage?
5%.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, you are right. You're correct. Woo!
How do I get it?
So we have, somebody will reach out to you because we have your details from the registration.
Okay.
So we'll reach out to you today and then just confirm all the details with you. Okay? All right, so everyone, I would like to say a special thank you to Frank and to Thomas for their participation, and to Kojo, of course, for leading this. Retirement is not a joke, and it's something that we should all take very seriously, not only for ourselves, but for our family members as well. So please, the information that you've gotten today, don't just take it and sit on it or say, okay, next week I'll get to it, or the week after. Do something with it. Because as we've said, you may be starting late, but it's better late than never. So with that, we would like to just wish you a wonderful day. Stay safe and do practice social distancing. Continue to practice your social distancing. Richard, I can still see your smile. And, but thank you all very, very much. So I'm just going to ask Josephine to give the closing prayer, and then we'll call it a day. And you're free again to join tomorrow if you'd like to, but please tell your friends and family as well to join so that they can also learn for themselves. Thank you so much. Josephine? Joseph. Okay. Josephine, please go ahead and just give us the closing prayer.
Let's pray. Almighty God, we started this meeting with you and we are closing it with you. Thank you for making day one of the 2020 retirement tour a success. We would not have done it without you because many are our plans, but it is you who establishes them. May the things we've learned today stir our hearts and may we put them into action. May what we've learned impact our lives, families, friends, and the rest of the world positively. In Jesus' name, we believe and pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you very much, Josephine. Okay, everyone, have a wonderful day. Thank you. Kojo, you want to say goodbye?
Thank you very much, guys. It's been extremely good. I can't even believe that we still have over 100 participants still locked on after all these hours. So I'm very inspired, and I'll do same tomorrow. Hope to see some of you tomorrow and your friends and relatives. And have a good evening.
Bye.